Ladies and gentlemen, I found out why the grand jury did not bring charges for the death of Breonna Taylor. The reason why they never brought charges to those cops is because when Attorney General Daniel Cameron presented the case to the grand jury, it was only for the neighbor's apartment being shot above Breonna Taylor's apartment. He never, ever recommended any charges for the cops to the grand jury for shooting Breonna Taylor. This came out in the Hill, September 30th, 2020. Kentucky Attorney General did not recommend any murder charges to Breonna Taylor's grand jury. That's why they came out with the verdict that you heard last week. He never, ever put Breonna Taylor in front of that grand jury to represent her. He left it out altogether. That's why there was no justice for her. Okay, y'all, let's get into this. Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron said on Tuesday that he did not present any murder charges to the grand jury that was impaneled to hear the case of Breonna Taylor, the 26-year-old Black woman who was shot and killed by a trio of plainclothes Louisville police officers in her home back in March. He never spoke about Breonna Taylor to the grand jury. In a sit-down interview with local news station WDRB, Cameron said that his office found murder charges were not appropriate. Really? Murder charges were not appropriate, so he didn't bother talking to the grand jury about Breonna Taylor at all. They're an independent body. If they wanted to make an assessment about different charges, they could have done that, Cameron said. Really? These are regular American citizens. They are not legal experts. Oh, this man is dirty. But our recommendation was that Officer Jonathan Mattingly and Miles Cosgrove were justified in their acts and conduct. Even though Mattingly and Cosgrove were the officers that combined to shoot Taylor 6 times. It was announced last week that the grand jury had decided not to press any charges against them. The only charges that the grand jury decided upon were 3 cases of wanton endangerment for Officer Brett Hankinson. Hankinson was fired from the force in June after it was found that he blindly shot 10 shots into Taylor's apartment. Cameron noted last week that there wasn't conclusive evidence of any of Hankinson's shots hit Taylor. However, some of the bullets did travel into an adjacent apartment where 3 people unrelated to the case were, which is why Hankinson was indicted. After her death, Taylor became a rally cry, say her name, for nationwide protests decrying police brutality and systematic racism that were spearheaded by a resurgence of Black Lives Matter movement. despite lawmakers, celebrities, and activists calling for the 3 officers to be arrested and charged for Taylor's death. Ultimately, none of them were directly held accountable. So he just went in there and conveniently left Breonna Taylor out altogether to this grand jury. Boy, there is a special place for you in that lake of fire, Daniel Cameron. The grand jury's decision sparked outrage and heavy suspicion of Cameron's motives. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, who's representing the Taylor family, demanded the transcript of the grand jury proceedings to be released to the public. Cameron sidestepped Crump's request, saying that grand juries are by law secretive. Well, they shouldn't be. You know, they shouldn't be. And number 2, they only use grand juries. You hear about them a lot when Black people in this country get killed by police officers. They run to this grand jury, and the grand jury is really there to get the cops out of everything. That's all they're there for. That's why you'll hear a lot of these attorney generals, they love the hell out of grand juries. This is how they get cops off. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but prosecutors and grand jury members are bound by the facts and by the law. Cameron's spokesperson, Elizabeth Kuhn, told The Hill at the time. Attorney General Cameron is committed to doing everything he can to ensure the integrity of the prosecution before him and continue fulfilling the ethical obligation as a prosecutor and as a partner in an ongoing federal investigation. However, Monday, an anonymous juror from the panel put more pressure on Cameron, filing a motion to have a grand jury transcript and records release. The full story and absolute truth of how this matter was handled from the beginning to end is now an issue of great public interest. Yes, a lot of people are angry. And I have a feeling when those recordings come out and people realize he really wasn't talking about Breonna Taylor to the grand jury at all, oh man, things are going to get worse in America when it comes down to this case. Let me go ahead and play this audio for you. Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Are you a parent and haven't got a will
That's a
yet?
commercial.
You have to keep watching.
All right.
If you pass away without a will, your money...
All right, that's a commercial. So we're going to... Okay, I can skip it now. All right, here we go.
Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron said on Tuesday that he did not present any murder charges to the grand jury that was impaneled to hear the case of Breonna Taylor, the 26-year-old Black woman who was shot and killed by a trio of plainclothes Louisville police officers in her home back in March. In a sit-down interview with local news station WDRB, Cameron said that his office found murder charges were, quote, not appropriate. Cameron said, quote, they're an independent body. If they wanted to make an assessment about different charges, they could have done that. But our recommendation was that officers Jonathan Mattingly and Miles Cosgrove were justified in their acts and their conduct.
So he never spoke to the jury about Breonna Taylor at all. He said it wasn't appropriate. She was murdered unarmed in her apartment. They found no drugs. They found no unusual activity in her bank account. They found nothing. They found nothing. And he said, bringing up Breonna Taylor to the grand jury was inappropriate. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this one. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.